Seriously, guys, how am I supposed to do my video if you're both in my chair? There's my tripod. I have nowhere to sit. Oh my gosh. This is where I've settled on. Now Lucky wants to leave. Lulu's here with me. I decided that the floor was the easiest place to do this since they had taken my chair. I have my laptop with all of my questions and we are just gonna get into it. I just wanna start by saying thank you to anyone who has supported me on my YouTube journey, my Instagram journey, reselling journey thus far. It's been quite a ride. So today is going to be my 2-year reflection and I'm hoping to share my story with you through answering questions that you all gave me on Instagram. I put it up in my stories earlier in the week, and so now I'm going to answer those questions. He's just gonna stare and look at that door until I open it. If you want more of like a traditional introduction to who I am and how I got started in reselling, I will link that above here. I do have like a introduce myself video that I did about a year ago. So I'll link that. If you want to watch this and then go check that out, that would be great. All right, I've made a few adjustments. I'm not used to being on the floor here. So what made you start reselling? Seems like an appropriate question to start with. I started reselling informally quite a long time ago. I didn't start formally reselling like on Poshmark until August of 2018. But I worked at American Girl on and off for about 10 years. I started American Girl in 2008, so probably somewhere around 2013 or 14, I decided to leave and I sold on eBay part-time at home. I remember my best week on eBay, I sold 18 items. That was like, I was really thrilled with that. And I wasn't listing a ton. I knew absolutely nothing about the reselling community. Didn't know it existed, didn't know that there was a reselling community on Instagram. I never followed a single video on YouTube. I really, really wish I had because I feel like I would have just gotten into this so much sooner if I had the support of other resellers and the knowledge of other resellers shared with me as I did when I discovered it in 2018. I did that on and off for about 2 years. We had a Salvation Army one town over from us, and I would go there on Wednesdays and pick things up. Lots of stuff, clothing, hard goods, plush, trinkets, whatever it was that kind of motivated me, I would pick up. And I did that on and off for like 2 years, but I really never got my footing with it. I think the reason I stopped reselling that first time around was because I just hadn't tapped into the community. My very first flip, as far as reselling goes, was in 1999. My husband and I were getting ready to move from San Francisco back east. We had bought a house. I was 6 weeks from my due date from having my firstborn, Anthony. And I used to sell Mary Kay cosmetics and I had a ton of inventory. One of my issues in the past, I sold creative memory scrapbooking supplies. I was like a consultant for them. I did Mary Kay. I was always dabbled in these direct sale things. But my problem was I would get too much inventory, which still today is a struggle for me. But the inventory back then was a lot more money to buy up front. I had a ton of Mary Kay supplies that I knew as a new mom moving back east, I was gonna lose my client base from San Francisco that I wasn't gonna sell anymore. So my husband and I figured out a way to list it on eBay. I believe it was like you had to wait for the check to clear. There was no credit card. There was no entering the credit card online. And we did a huge lot. It was like $800 or $900. I just shouted to my husband, but I can't remember the exact number, but it was a big lot. And that was my very first flip on eBay. And I don't even know if I can take credit for that because Jay really did the research on that. And that was in 1999. And then I just kind of moved home. I had bought a couple American Girl things online and flipped them, but I was never really into it until I left American Girl and did it for a short time. And then after a few years, and I share this in my original story, I worked with someone at American Girl. Her name is Rafaela. She is the Bins Queen on Instagram, and she was a lead at American Girl, and she had given her notice, and everyone was like, oh, Rafaela's going to Pittsburgh to be a full-time reseller. And I was like, a full-time what? I was really intrigued. And they're like, yeah, she sells stuff online. I had been working with Rafaela for months, maybe over a year, and I never knew she was a reseller. And it was something that I had done, and then I went back to American Girl. I had probably been back for 2 years. And then Rafaela was leaving. And so she was leaving in July of 2018. She was packing things up and moving to Pittsburgh and going to pursue that full time. And so I started following her on Instagram, and that just opened the floodgates. So that was July of 2018, and then in August of 2018 I was like official. And then January of 2019 I left American Girl, and then I went full-time as a reseller in September of 2019. So that's kind of how I got my beginning. I've always dabbled in it a little bit, but full-fledged 2018. Next question. How do you deal with slow sales without getting down on yourself? I think this is a great question, and I also think it's something that we all deal with. And so my best remedy to low sales is to put on my blinders, shut off Instagram, and just listing and sharing. So whenever my sales are low, and it happened this week, this has been one of my lowest sales weeks in probably a year. I was in Pennsylvania Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I came home on Wednesday. I didn't list anything Wednesday or Thursday, or I might have listed 1 or 2 items. I had 2 no sales days on Poshmark. Thank God for my direct sales and YouTube sales. And this week has been so quiet. It just started to pick up because I started to list. So instead of getting down on myself, so the first thing, shut off Instagram and just don't get discouraged by the success of others. That does not mean you're not doing well. I actually typically get pretty inspired by other people's successes, but in general, if you... Oh, is that for me?
Yeah.
You're so sweet. You just cut up garden veggies. Yeah, I'll take it. We are on keto now, which is another question somebody asked me, but Jay just did the final round in the garden and got all the cukes and tomatoes. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. That's a lot of cukes and tomatoes. I'm so excited. This is so yummy. Super good. I typically find inspiration from other people's success, but it's more of a rabbit hole. It's not so much like, oh, I'm jealous, they're doing better than me. It's like, they are hustling and I am scrolling through Instagram. So if I shut off Instagram and I just start listing, honestly, within a couple of days, things usually pick up. Another thing is, I would highly recommend, if you're struggling on Poshmark, just try cross-listing to eBay. And I'm a little bit a hypocrite here because I should be cross-listing so much more to eBay. But I do find that, people will say to me, oh, I don't find the brands that sell on Poshmark in my area. So either A, try to find a niche in maybe like a mall brand tier business model, and just embrace that if that's what you're finding in your area. Or B, try those mall brands on eBay, Mercari. A lot of people say a lot of mall brands do great on Mercari, another area that I'm not an expert in. But just keep hustling and trying new things. So instead of spending your energy being down on yourself, keep hustling and moving forward. Google is your friend. There's so many resources on YouTube, but listing, I would say, is key for that answer. Another question, what do you do with all of the likes? I send them offers, but I never get any hits. Okay, I actually send lots of offers to likers, and I believe I should probably look and see like what percentage of my business is from offers to likers. I would venture out to say about 25-30% of my business is from sending offers to likers. I've mentioned this before. I can link this above. I'm sorry, I'm going to be like link happy because I don't want to go off on one subject, but I do have better resources to answer some of these questions. But I did do a video on offers to likers and what my strategy is. And I definitely price my items high so it leaves room for offers. What I have found, and this is just a feeling, this is not like statistical or anything like that, but I feel like no matter where I price my things, I'm still gonna get lowball offers. So say I have a pair of Lucky brand boots, and I would be really happy selling those Lucky brand boots for $25, $30. If I list them at $25, $30, I guarantee you I am going to get $15 and $12 offers on those boots, which I would find very discouraging. Instead, I list those boots at $40 or $50, and that allows room for offers. So if I list it, $50 is probably more ballpark where I would list a really good pair of Lucky boots. They retail for over $100. So if they're in really good condition, we're already starting at 50% off. Somebody likes it, I quickly send an offer for 20% off. So $40 with discounted shipping. So that would leave me $32 plus the $2 off with shipping. I definitely allow room for that. Do it.
I hate those kind of things,
I know. Good. Okay, Jay just came to steal some cucumbers.
This was on the whole time?
Yeah, but
oh my gosh, I came to steal cucumbers and I'm on the camera. I have no idea.
Yeah, but all the stuff that was on before this is going to be edited out. Okay. You're not going to like show us eating cucumbers and talking.
Oh, the magic of editing. I understand.
Oh my God.
I get it. This is good.
I'd be lost without editing. Look up there in the left-hand corner. If you look at the screen, you're going to be looking.
This is a very quick guest appearance. I'm just assuring you that right now.
Look over here.
I'm looking.
Okay. So this is Jay. This is my husband. We have been married for 25 years. He was my high school sweetheart. And so one of the questions was, what does your family think of your business? So he came in to steal some cucumbers and tomatoes, so I made him sit in. By the way, he is the most low-key guy you will ever meet, and this is painful for him, but he loves me. So, so what do you think of my business, babe? What do you think of it?
I'm still surprised that I'm on this camera right now because I really was just coming from cucumbers. But I do love her business. It's been wonderful for Lori. It just came at the right time. So I guess a couple things. One, as the kids get older, it's just been wonderful to see Lori so happy and just have so much passion for what she's doing. She loves shopping. She loves the hunt. So this has really been great. Mm-hmm. And also, it's great to just see it be a business, right? Be profitable, make money, be a job for her. It's just wonderful in that way. So I love it. How's that? Gosh.
That's good. No, I talked about like how like getting too much inventory was an issue for me with Mary Kay, and
it's been a recurring theme in Lori's businesses, I would say. Yes.
All right, and as many of you know, Jay is an accountant, and while he cannot give advice on the internet, I'm going to ask you, what is your best tip for your wife?
Oh gosh, marry a good accountant. That's the best tip I have for you.
I could not do this without Jay, 100%. He got me an LLC, like a business license.
I don't have any great.
He made me get a
keep all your records, keep track of things, don't build your inventory too high. Make sure you're making profitable purchases and watch how much you're making on certain things. It's a good thing.
Lulu
that's
just
all I
ate
have.
a cucumber.
Oh gosh.
She loves calories. All right, thank you, babe. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. He's the most low-key guy you'll ever meet. But my kids also, that was another question, is how do the kids feel? Kids are super supportive. I say all the time, Rocco is the reason I got monetized. I had hit 1,000 subscribers and I had no idea how to go about. I could have Googled it, but I hadn't like prioritized that. And he's like, Mom, you have 1,000 followers. You could probably get monetized now. And I'm like, well, help me out. So he helped me do the AdSense application on Google, and we put it in. And within the week of getting my 1,000 subscribers, I was probably at whatever, 1,022, 1,050, whatever the number was. I got to my 4,000 watch hours, which is another requirement. And then I was monetized mid-August of 2019. So if it weren't for Rocco, I have no idea how long it would have taken me to actually put in the application. And there's a little bit of lag time. So he's super supportive that way. Someone else asked if Rocco still helps with listing, and unfortunately he doesn't. He wasn't listing. I taught him how to do intake. So when he comes in, how to look at a garment and put it in my spreadsheet, you know, the description, the size, if there's any flaws, to note the flaws, and then like the cost of goods. Stop eating my cucumbers, Lulu. And then he was steaming and measuring and doing a really good job. And I think I just pushed him too far and asked him to photograph, and he hated photographing. And then I kept saying, just photograph this much or just do this. And I pushed him, and now he doesn't want to do it anymore. So I have to learn how to chill. I just get so excited at the thought of help, because I think that's one of my biggest struggles right now is my business is growing, and a lot of my time is now being devoted to YouTube. So YouTube has finally become a nice source of income for me. However, you compare them side by side. Like if I spent 5 or 6 hours on my reselling business, that could equal so many sales and listings and shares. And I just think for the time put in, you get much more of a payback from reselling. So I struggle with that now because I really love YouTube, and I want to grow my YouTube channel as well as my reselling business. And they kind of go hand in hand. You know, I do a haul video, and sometimes I'll sell things from my haul video. It gets people over to my Poshmark closet, but then it really takes away from my reselling. So that's been a struggle for me. I definitely need to hire somebody to help with the listing. So Rocco is gone. And so I am hiring if anybody is interested. Angelina, I miss her already. She was a model for me. Somebody asked if she wants to resell, and not really. She's not interested. at all right now. She likes to thrift, but in much smaller windows. I am kind of insatiable. Like, I could just keep thrifting all day. And I think everyone in my family would love to humor me and shop with me for like a half an hour. And then they're like, okay, Mom, I'm done. And I'm like just getting started. So it doesn't always work out. I love getting Angie's perspective on fashion for a different generation. So she is great. And Anthony's just a huge cheerleader for me. And yeah, the family overall is great. Sometimes it's very funny. I remember when Anthony used to watch Casey Neistat on YouTube when he was like in middle school. And I would say, why don't you come downstairs and watch TV with us? And he would say, Mom, I don't watch TV. And I would say, you're a weird kid. Nobody just sits and watches YouTube all day. That was, I don't know, 8 years ago that he was watching Casey Neistat on YouTube, and I Justine was big back in the day. And I was just perplexed by it. And so it's very ironic that now I am on YouTube and my kids kind of shy away from it a little bit. Someone wrote in, I'd love to hear more about your keto experience and your health goals. So I'm gonna really just touch on this because I just started. So I've lost 3 pounds this week, go me. But I was actually at my very heaviest non-pregnancy weight right now. You're looking at it, the heaviest I've ever been. And I think I've just really struggled a little bit with quarantine. We got a Peloton. I absolutely love the Peloton. And then you ask, when was the last time you were on the Peloton, Lori? And I'm going to tell you 2.5 weeks ago. It's like embarrassing. Like every time I get on, I love it. It's like classic exercise. The second you're done, you're like, why don't I do this all the time? But it's like that getting started, that is a struggle for me. But keto, I really, really love. I'll give it in a nutshell. I love it. It's very hard the first week to come off of those carb cravings, but it's been the single lifestyle diet plan, whatever you want to call it, that I have been able to do. And I've been able to like eat out, you know, I can get a cheeseburger, just no bun, and load it up with veggies and pickles and lettuce and things like that. I can dine out. I'm not counting points or calories. I was a big Weight Watchers person for years, and I do think Weight Watchers is phenomenal and it works, but I am not really good at record keeping, which also flows into my work, which is why the accountant helps. Keto, I think, is a really sustainable lifestyle for me. And of course, I'm not going to give any advice on diet and health, but I do enjoy it. I follow Keto Rewind, this girl Jess on YouTube. She's wonderful. I've been following her keto journey. I've learned a lot from her. Angeline is a vegetarian, so it's really tough to cook for a vegetarian and be keto because there's a lot of meat involved. And so Angie's at college right now, so we decided we were gonna do like a 7-week, like supercharged keto focus for 7 weeks, because 7 weeks is when we're supposed to go to Penn State and visit the kids. So I would love to be down 20 pounds, but let's check back on keto. I highly recommend it, but I am like so low on the totem pole for knowledge on keto. So yeah, check back and feel free to DM me with any questions. Another question, how long did it take for sales to pick up? This is another question I get all the time. And for me, I would say that my closet was somewhere between 200 and 300 items before I started like really thinking like, wow, this could really work for me. And I think when I was at like 500 listings, I was like getting more daily sales. I tend to talk about the quantity, and I don't always think that that's the right message to send, because there are people with much smaller closets than me who have highly profitable businesses. There are people who are highly selective about the pieces they put in their closet. They are choosing items that might be in more demand than like, you know, the J. Crew factory outlet shirt that I might pick up at the bins for 50 cents and list. So it really depends on your business model. I don't have a specifically curated closet, but I will say as time goes on, I definitely gravitate towards like bohemian style stuff, and I'm not a big career person. I do look at blazers and stuff, but I don't love to photograph slacks, like a pair of dress slacks, like Calvin Klein dress slacks. Like I can't think of something I would rather photograph less. Like tops like this, that photograph well, that are flowy and present great on camera. I love to sell those items. So I think my closet is probably getting curated as time goes on. I definitely think it's the consistency. It kind of comes back to, you know, listing every day, regardless of what you're selling. I also think that my sales and this is, again, it's all feeling stuff, but taking good pictures is really important. And once I discovered the app Pick Tap Go and started brightening my photos and really getting crisp white photos, I think that draws people in if you have nice photos. So there's a lot that goes into it. Some of these questions are very difficult for me to answer like in a blanket statement. But yeah, either have really high quality sought after pieces in your closet, or you can play the numbers game and just list a lot of stuff, be open to offers, and I think that you'll see your business take off. I have a really good friend, and I just want to give her a shout out. Her name is Tina. She is one of my good friends who I worked with at American Girl, and she just got into Poshmark. And I've watched her closet grow so quickly. And she just hit 50 sales, and she messaged me to celebrate. And it was like a day after I hit 2,000 sales. And I just think it's so phenomenal to like set little goals for yourself. And I remember when I got my first sale, how excited I was. And then your 50th sale. Kristen from Voyage is a Verb, I think, just hit $200,000 total in sales on Poshmark. And that is so exciting. I can't wait till I can report those numbers someday. So wherever you are on your journey, just make sure you're celebrating as you go, and just look at where you started and look at where you are now, and just recognize how awesome that is. My friend Tina, she is just like a get things done kind of person. And when the light switch went on, I've been talking to her about Poshmark for years, but when she finally decided to do it, she just took off, and her business is going to continue to just be awesome. So I love you, Tina, and I'm proud of you. Okay, I got a couple questions about thredup, a couple. One was, what are your thoughts on the overwhelming craze of sending things to thredup? So if you are a person who follows resellers on Instagram and YouTube, there has been a lot of talk about sending things to thredup. And some people are hugely successful with it. Personally, I don't have a ton of experience with thredup to really speak to this. It's definitely something I'm yearning to do, but I feel like I don't have all the tools. And there are courses out there that people rave about, which I might actually take, because I kind of feel like, because of my platform on YouTube, this is a question I get a lot. It seems like something I should probably educate myself on to share with my audience. So I think I might take the course. I have mixed emotions, because I feel like if I wanted to put in the work, I could learn a lot on my own. But then there's a part of me that's like, somebody's already done all the work for me. Like, maybe pay the money and just go for it and learn about this platform, and then start experimenting. I am a person who always has excess inventory. So getting to know thredup would be a great thing for me. Getting to know the brands that I can just send directly to them, because I'll get overwhelmed. Like, I get so excited for thrifting, and I'll thrift and I'll do a haul, and then I'll thrift again and I'll do another haul. And then before I know it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to list. And then I get overwhelmed. It would be so nice to just know right off the bat. If I list it on Poshmark, it may sit for 6 months, then I'll sell it for $25. I'm paying $3 for it. I'll end up making like $15, or I can send it right off to thredup, not look at it for another second, and maybe I'll make $11 on it. Like, that's pretty encouraging, especially if you're somebody who shops the bins. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on stuff that I would send to thredup, although I'm sure there are people out there who just know what they should spend the money on. I'm not that person. I think it's pretty exciting. I think thredup is here to stay. So from a reseller perspective, I think it can only help any of our business models to at least know what works over there. So that is definitely on my to-do list. I have a bag. Maybe some of you can answer this question. I have a clear out bag that I never sent out, and I have a Luxe label, which I don't think they do the Luxe program anymore. This is how little I know about thredup. But I'm wondering if the label on my bag from like 4 months ago would still work, if I could send that in. And I also want to expedite it, because I'm hearing that if you expedite it, you pay, I think it's like $16 to expedite the process, that you end up getting your stuff processed a lot sooner, because the wait has been huge, because so many people have sent items into thredup. So if you're a thredup person, leave your best thredup tip below. I do think I'm going to invest in that course, Krangle, Krangle. I don't endorse it, or I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. I just know that that's one of the big courses that are out there. So I might invest in that. To answer one of the questions, how do I determine which one If it's something that I'm really passionate about, if it's an item that I'm passionate about, I will sell it. If it's something that has a history of doing well in my closet, Rocco just woke up. Patagonia or certain Lululemon pieces or Bohemian style, Free People, this is Free People, I would sell this on my own. Madewell. Madewell jeans I would sell on my own. If I happen to get like a Madewell basic top, maybe I'll send that to thredup. I don't know. Pieces that I don't like to sell on my own, like those Calvin Klein slacks that I mentioned. I hear Calvin Klein does well on thredup. Those are things I would send to thredup. So either things I don't have a history of success with in my own closet or store on eBay, or things that are known to do well on thredup, which I don't know that I can speak to a lot of those things. I hear brands like Ann Taylor, White House Black Market, Calvin Klein. These are just like things I've heard through my experience do well on thredup. So I need to test that out. And I think that it could really change the course of my business if that was something I tapped into. Summer wrote, thanks for your videos. We're approximately the same age and I feel like you could be a friend. Aw, I would love to be friends. I love that. Did you randomly get into reselling or was it a career goal? So I answered how I got into reselling. It wasn't a career goal, but when I was at American Girl, I was a personal shopper for a short time. When I came back after taking that 2 years off, I went back as a personal shopper. Jay used to laugh because when the kids were little, I had a whole closet and it was called like my auxiliary closet where I would shop and be out and just find something that was so good. I'm like, I'm gonna either give that to someone as a birthday gift, a Christmas gift, and I would literally just have a closet full of presents. So at any given moment, if we needed anything, I'd go into the auxiliary closet because I could just not ever pass up a good deal. So it wasn't a career, but gosh, I pinch myself that this is what I do for a living. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it. I love it, but it is work. I just happen to love it. I don't think you can fake reselling. Did you work outside of the home prior to reselling? As I mentioned, just a little part-time. I actually have my master's in education. I was a special ed teacher. When I was in California, I taught kids with severe behavioral needs. I had like only 6 students in my class and I absolutely loved that. But you know, we would have to restrain kids. They were one step before going to residential programs. I absolutely love that population of kids. I have a huge heart for those students. But when I came back and had my own kids, it was just a lot for me. I was the teacher that like stay in my classroom sometimes until 5, 6 o'clock, just because I loved being there. I'd work on bulletin boards or lesson plans or IEPs or whatever. Like I just really loved being there, but it took a toll on me emotionally. I had to deal with social services a lot. And so as much as I love that population of kids, once I became a mom, I don't know, it was just, there's a lot of burnout in that profession. I wasn't burnt out because I only taught actually for 4 or 5 years before I became a stay-at-home mom. So, but yeah, I am a teacher by trade. And I think maybe that is why I like YouTube, because I think in some form I'm sharing my knowledge about reselling. So, and you know, some might interpret that as like I'm teaching. So I don't know, maybe that's why this has also become a good fit for me. How long realistically do you think it takes to build your Poshmark as a full-time business? This is one of those loaded questions. What is full-time for me can be part-time for somebody else and vice versa. If you're replacing a job that paid $30,000 a year, you might be able to do reselling pretty quickly as a full-time thing. If you left a corporate job and you were making $75,000, $80,000 a year, that might be tricky to replace right away as a full-time reseller. So I think a lot depends on like what part of the country you're in. You know, is your house paid for? Is your mortgage $5,000 a month? Like there are so many factors in that. I think what you want to look at is how much you're making prior to being a reseller, and then backing into the number and seeing what it would take for you to go full-time and replace that income. So for me, when I started reselling, I was working part-time at American Girl, making $15, $16 an hour. That was easy to replace. If I was working as a teacher, say, that might not be so easy to replace. So also, like, what is your cost of goods? Are you spending a lot of money, or are you just starting with the clothes in your house? Some people sell retail arbitrage and their average cost of goods could be $15 to $20 an item. Other people are starting in their closet where your merchandise is free, and a lot of us are somewhere in between. There are just so many factors in determining what would work for you as a full-time reseller. I even feel like lately I have a little like imposter syndrome, because while I am full-time, I feel like my time is divided between reselling and YouTube now. So does that make me a part-time reseller and a part-time YouTuber? Everyone's definition of full-time is different. So that's probably not the best answer or a black and white answer that you were looking for, but I would say try to figure out what your average cost of goods is and what your average selling price is and the income that you're trying to replace. And you can kind of back into a number. So somebody did ask me like, what do I gross versus what I net in a month? I would say on average, I sell about 125 items on Poshmark per month. Past couple months have been a little bit slower. I've sold as much as like 165 items, and that's like middle of the road. I mean, there are full-timers who do way more business than that, way more. So I'm just gonna give you some really rough numbers here. My average selling price is $30, roughly. Poshmark takes 20% of every sale. So if my average selling price is $30, I am profiting $24. My average cost of goods, again, very general, but pretty accurate. My average cost of goods is about $5 per item. So if Poshmark is taking 20%, so they take their $6, now you have to back out my cost of goods. That means I'm profiting about $19 per item. So if you take that information and you put it into the little formula, if I sell on average 125 items, I'm profiting $19 per item after Poshmark takes their fees, after I take out my cost of goods. That means on a monthly basis, I'm profiting, I am netting $2,375. My gross income on a monthly basis is somewhere between like $3,700 and $4,000. That's where I've been like falling pretty consistently for probably the past 6 months. So yeah, say $2,300 a month. That doesn't include what I make on YouTube. It doesn't include any of my affiliate promotions. Like affiliate marketing can bring in some extra money for you, which is nice. Very small, but it adds up over time. I also do direct sales, and I also do some work on eBay. Just giving you the numbers for Poshmark, and then all of the other things, they vary from month to month, but I hope that helps. So whatever your numbers are, you can probably figure out what you need to make to get to whatever number works for you and your family. Okay, another question, good question. Have you had many bad experiences with buyers, unfair returns, or feedback? I would say very small margin compared to the good. The feedback that is the hardest for me is on Poshmark. I've gotten a handful, like maybe 3 or 4 1-star ratings for people who like never received their item. So I shipped it, the post office marked it as picked up, and it is shipping. And for whatever reason, it gets lost in the mail. And then I get a 1-star rating that has nothing to do with me. And I've messaged Poshmark and they have not removed the rating for me. It's very difficult to get in touch with Poshmark. That has been frustrating for me, and because they're rating the service as opposed to the item. But I think that's more of an education thing. Like, I just don't think that all the buyers realize that their rating is a reflection of you. Sometimes a frustrated customer is just going to lash out because they're upset. I had one person on eBay. I've struggled the most with returns on eBay because I do not accept returns, which I probably should, because people can return things whether you accept returns or not. And I think you have more protection as a seller if you accept returns. That's another thing. Like, I am not a good person to talk to about eBay. But anyways, I had this one shirt that somebody really was unhappy with. It was a size 4X. That's something I found at the bins. It was a Ralph Lauren shirt. And, oh no, it was Tommy Bahama shirt. And somebody claimed that it wasn't the proper size. I included measurements. But the thing that bothered me is that they said they thought I was selling a fake when eBay ruled in my favor. They contested it, and if eBay sides with the seller, somebody can then go to PayPal, which is where you get your money. So they can fight it on the PayPal level. So even if you win with eBay, you can still lose on PayPal. So super long and complicated, crazy enough, somehow that all worked out in my favor, but that gentleman was definitely not happy with me. But I really did everything as described. Now, that was about I don't know, not quite a year ago, but I think at this stage of the game, I probably just would have taken the return. I don't think it was worth my energy. I don't think it was worth me getting upset. Returns are just part of the business when it comes to retail. I mean, think of if you had a brick and mortar store, you have to also deal with theft and loss prevention, which is something we don't have to deal with. So I just think it's part of the game. And in retrospect, I think I spent way too much energy fighting that. I should have just accepted it. And in the time that I took to write to PayPal, write to eBay, write to this guy, go back and forth. I can't even tell you how many messages went back and forth. I probably could have listed about 15 items and easily made back that $35 shirt. So be careful what you choose to spend your time on, especially when it's negative stuff. I just find that in hindsight, oftentimes I just wish I had just moved on. It's also part of the business. You can't please everyone. You can't please everyone on YouTube. I'm sure I'll have some thumbs down on this, but if you are enjoying it, please give me a thumbs up. I forgot to say my little spiel at the beginning. If you like reseller content in this style, I mean, this is actually, I don't usually do Q&As, but if you like this, let me know, and definitely subscribe to my channel if you want more. We are really running late here. This is an easy one. Do you think you found your passion with a reselling career? Yes, yes, and yes. I feel like I can do this for another 20 years, God willing. It's something I can travel and do. So as my kids get older, and Jay, prior to quarantine, would have to travel a lot. And I used to go to New York City with him and go to all the thrift stores while he was working. I feel like this is something that is so flexible for my schedule. I cannot imagine punching a clock for anyone for the rest of my life. Like, this is it. I am home. I'm so happy. How big I'll get, how much I scale my business, where YouTube will go for me. Those are all questions I don't yet know, but I'm just super excited. Yes, yes. What is your favorite category on Poshmark to sell? Best seller, worst seller? Good question. I think that shoes are just always the best return on investment for me, especially if I'm at the bins. I just think that certain shoes, the retail is just so expensive. And if you can find quality shoes in good condition, the return can be so good for that. And I also think with shoes, people generally know their size. You know, if I'm looking at a blouse, I'm like, you know, is that going to be long enough? Is it going to be tight? Even if somebody provides measurements, until that's on your body, and to an extent, shoes are the same way. But shoes are slightly more straightforward than clothing. So I think for that reason, shoes do very well. I also like to sell outerwear and sweaters, anything that kind of brings me a little bit more. One of the things I'm not crazy about selling, and I think it's because of all the measuring, and is handbags. And I'd love to pick them up, and I do sell quite a bit, but I don't love it, and I don't know why, because I love handbags. I just don't love selling them as much. Is there a color that you avoid at the thrift store? That's a funny question. And I guess kind of. I don't always shop at the stores where they're organized by color. I'm definitely more of a neutral person. Red, I guess. I don't love photographing red. I don't avoid it, but I don't have a ton of red. I will say, like, light blue always casts like yellow in the background. I absolutely pass on things that I don't think are going to photograph well all the time. That is something that I've started to do probably the last year of my business. So I pass on certain colors that just don't show up well. And I pick up things that may be a little bit more of a risk because I know they will just look fantastic in a photograph, and the photographs sell. So if something can look good on camera, I'm drawn to it. Is your youngest still working for you? I answered that. Should I go full-time and quit my job? I want to resell full-time, but I'm not sure if I should. That I just talked about. Those are questions that scare me to answer. You really have to look at all of your numbers before you decide to go full-time. Also, it's really good to have money in the bank before you go full-time, just as a cushion if you're really going to take the leap. My advice would be to straddle the two for a while. There are so many people that do this as a side hustle. So if you can somehow manage to do your full-time job and start reselling, start developing good habits, and start to see a trend with how much money you're making, if this is working out for you, if you have good places to source, figure out if it's something you can do while you have a job. And I feel like you'll know when you get to the point. Like, I know a lot of people who say, I started doing this part-time and eventually I noticed I was making more money reselling than I was in my full-time job. And that's when I decided to take the plunge. So definitely, I wouldn't rush into this. It's not a race. There's plenty of room for more resellers. So I would take your time. Do you purchase special items to sell for the holiday shopping season? Sometimes, I guess. Yeah. I was just at Francesca's around graduation time with my daughter looking for a dress, and they had these like super, super fuzzy socks with like, you know, the little gripper part on the bottom. I can't even remember if they said anything. They were like novelty knee sock sort of things. The price tag was $24.99 on them. And I thought they were like a cute thing to just add to packages to people who buy things from me during the holiday season. I think I paid 50 cents for each of them. They were super, super cheap, and I bought like 12. My daughter was like, what the heck are you doing? This gets back to that auxiliary closet. I couldn't resist that. And I'm not a big ugly sweater person. It's just so not my thing. I do pick them up occasionally. I have sold them. Some people sell ugly sweaters like they could sell them any day of the week. I struggle with them. They're not my aesthetic. I'm just not, I don't know. Are you an ugly sweater person? I'm just so not. I try to be more fun. I'm just not fun, I guess. So sometimes, yeah, I will pick up certain things, but I think picking things up for the holiday is really good if you're a hard goods seller. And there are certain things, you know, Christmas decorations, Hallmark ornaments, and all the holiday stuff when you're out and about. I think that relates more to hard good people or people who sell toys. So for example, I have a ton of American Girl stuff. I've really only sold them direct sales. Anywhere between September and January, February does really well for American Girl stuff because a lot of people buy it as gifts. So I don't think I would put a ton of my energy into listing American Girl stuff over the summer. I wouldn't not list it, but if I'm thinking in terms of the holidays, I might wait a little bit. But I'll tell you, everything that I say, oh, I want to get this listed in October for the holidays. October comes really, really, really fast. Like I feel like right now I should be listing costumes for Halloween, and people who are ahead of the game, they're doing that sort of thing because October is here before you know it. And then I have things like when I have saved to sell during the holidays, I'm like, oh my gosh, I better get this listed like yesterday. So just watch your timeline with that. I might end with this next question, and there are still so many more, and I'm so sorry if I didn't address your question. I'll definitely do another Q&A video, so keep the questions coming. This is from my friend Jess. Most rewarding, most challenging part of reselling for you? Ooh. I think what is most rewarding about this business is that I did it on my own. I've never considered myself like a super motivated person. I'm pretty chill in my personality, and I've often looked at myself like my husband is like a super motivated guy, and he's very diligent and he's very disciplined. And I've just never thought of myself. I would never describe myself with any of those adjectives: diligent, disciplined, motivated. I really wouldn't. Happy, chill, easygoing, yes, but all of those things, no, not until I found reselling. So I was motivated by teaching, but once I had my own kids, I was like full-on stay-at-home mom. Then I was a dance mom for many years, and I like put a ton of energy into that, probably too much energy. So this is the first time in my life that I've really just been so focused on something, and I can't believe that all of these things have come into play, like teaching that helps me on YouTube, and my love for thrifting and treasure hunting. All of that, like everything has come together in this reselling YouTube package for me. And I feel pretty proud of that. And one of the things that is also a source of pride for me is I feel like on YouTube, when I started, I really didn't have any expectation. I guess I thought it would be fun to be monetized, but I really didn't think past that. And I didn't know about SEO, like search engine optimization. And I didn't know to place tags in my video, and I didn't know anything about like end cards or all the ways to draw attention to my YouTube channel. And I kind of just went with it. Like there are people who need all of their ducks in order before they start. I am not one of those people. I can be more impulsive and say, this feels good to me, and I go for it. And there are pros and cons to both of those personality styles. But for me, I'm just so happy that I went for it. I am 47 now. I didn't start this until I was 45. Never in a million years would I have dreamed that. Oh, this is weird. Emotional. Whoa. All right, I gotta pause. Oh my God, wow, that came out of nowhere. I am so sorry. I just never thought I would find something that would give me so much fulfillment right out of my home. So I'm pretty proud of that. And I would say that that is what is the most rewarding part of this. And also just being able to connect with so many people. I have an incredible group of friends here in my town, and I never knew that there was so much more room to meet so many new people. And I started the podcast with Daniela, and that was a leap of faith. And it's just all been such a great ride, and I'm super grateful. I think my biggest challenge is and always will be the balance, not buying too much inventory or making sure I keep up with stuff, being able to shut off my computer and have family time. I struggle with the balance right now because I think about this all the time. So that I suspect will continue to be a challenge for me. But that is all for today. Whoa, that was a lot of talking. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give me a comment. Oh, I banished him to the outdoors. Hi, Lucky. Hi. Thank you guys for watching. I love you. I really appreciate all of your support. And here's to another 2 or 20 years of reselling. All right, guys, I'll be back soon. Bye.